Hey, this is the Outcast, Shannon Moore.
Hey guys, this is Big Vito LaGrasso.
And you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D with Wolfie D.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. And we've got a great guest for this first watch-along of WCW is PG-13, and that is the one and the only, the Outcast, Shannon Moore. Shannon, you were a part of this match. Thank you so much for coming on tonight with us.
I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to sit here and chat it up with the one and only Wolfie D while we're going over. We're getting old, Wolfie.
We are getting old, Chef.
Well, this match is for everyone. The link to the match will be in the description of the show. This one, if you look it up on YouTube, it's 3 Count versus PG-13 2000-0205. Now, this was the start of an awesome era for PG-13. You guys 3 Count, the Mamalukes, Young Dragons, really showing your stuff with these awesome teams.
There really was a cool, intro to that. Like you just said that, man. 3 Count was cool, man. Young Dragons, we just all had this kind of like thing, but they just, I don't know.
Just didn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, Wolfie, do you want to count us down from 3? So everybody on go will hit play.
Yeah.
Everybody mute your stuff.
All right. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. So a lot of smoke right now. Who's coming through that smoke? Who is that? I don't even know.
Who is it?
Oh, it's you and Shane
and Evan.
Don't have to have wrestling anymore.
Yeah. The greatest boy band in the history of boy bands right there, by the way.
What?
Look at you, Shannon. Look at you.
God. Oh, yeah. No tattoos, hardly.
That's so funny. But y'all were good, man.
We were good. Like, man, back then, though, like, I didn't, until I left WCW and went to HWA, like, I had good matches and stuff in HWA, but I didn't learn I don't feel like I learned how to work till I went to HWA.
Really?
Less stature, yeah. Like, I did cool stuff back then.
Yeah. I mean, you were always, we'll watch this here in a minute, and everything was good. And I remember working with you, for Byrd and stuff like that. You were like me, a young kid that got in the business, and we knew how to do it. But at this point, we were just doing what they told us to do, right?
Yeah, I feel the same, man. Like, we pretty much were raised in the industry, like.
Yeah.
I know for me, like, the boys were my father figures. Like,
yeah, Exactly. Look at Evan. Y'all are fun, man.
Jimmy Hart thought that was going to be, like, the biggest babyface thing ever. Like, he thought that we were going to sell out stadiums. Really? And I was, Jimmy, like, this is going to be heel things, man, because, like, the guys are going to hate us, and our dancing sucks, and our singing sucks. We don't sing.
Right. That's so funny. Oh, it's so funny to look back at this, man. God bless America. It's so funny.
Evan was in good shape, too. Evan was...
Oh, absolutely. He was the guy, he was kind of like y'all's front guy, but then you and Shane could work, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like that.
Yeah, I think it all kind of come together pretty good, for Jimmy's vision.
It really did. I mean, for what they were wanting you guys to do, that was awesome. It's so funny.
Dude, those Kick Time hats that we're wearing, that was a Kick Time boxing thing. I think Wesley Snipes had something to do with owning that. Evan was friends with Wesley, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, we went to California and, oh, man, hung out with the old Snipes.
Shit, man, in your life, man. And you know that I know you better than probably 90% of the guys that know you. And I know you so well. Man, I just want to say that I love you, man. I love you, and just what you've done in this business, and just who you are. I love you to death, man. I love you to death.
Buddy, like we were kids in this stuff, and to meet that long ago and still have a friendship and still be able to be on the road together like this past weekend, and just nonstop laughter. They come.
Look at them boys. That wasn't real fog machine. That was actually weed smoke right there, I think.
Nice.
Hey, right?
Jim Cornette impersonation.
You were the heartthrob of the two, right?
That was so funny, man. So funny. Look at Shannon. Look at him.
Gosh. You were the heartthrob of your group, right, Wolfie?
I was the heartthrob, okay.
You were.
Well, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, like you were the ladies' man of it too.
Okay. Well, look at this guy. He's dancing.
Look at that. Look at JC's haircut, boy.
Wow. Look, they finna go at it. Ugh. Oh shit. Oh, okay. Oh, everybody reverses to headlocks. Oh, here it comes. Tennessee tippy toe. Here it comes. Tennessee tippy toe. Boom.
Nice. That was smooth, man.
Oh, shit.
Did Shane start most of y'all's matches, Shannon?
No. I mean, no. We all just took different times. Like, it wasn't something that we said, oh, yeah, Shane's going to start everything.
Gotcha, okay.
Whatever the match.
Because we also have another match on here. I think it was Jimmy. Were they involved in that with the one that I said where everybody, like, stood up or whatever?
No, that was Young Dragon.
Young Dragon. Yeah. But look at this, man. I mean, it's just, it's good stuff, man. It really is. Look at Shannon.
It's solid, man. Like,
Shannon, you look like oh my God, why'd you let me do this to you?
Bam.
Why did you let me do that?
I don't know, dude.
I don't either.
Y'all are having a podcast conversation out there.
Yeah, right. Nah, dude. I mean, dude, this was entertaining, man. Like, this was good. Look at that.
Boom. That's good stuff. Love it. That's good.
Like, honestly, like, you don't see a lot of matches like this. Like, AEW, you see a lot of entertaining stuff, but, like, I don't think you see a lot of tag matches like this no more.
Nah.
Like, especially, like, WWE.
360. Boom.
Look at that. Boom.
Did that hurt?
Did it hurt?
Did it hurt?
No.
No, okay, good. If it did, you would say it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what's going on?
Oh, here it comes.
How you doing? Okay. I was going to say, Johnny ain't going to the top rope for nothing. Look. Oh, Shannon. You missed. I'm going to miss. Oh, this was shit that we originated with the Eliminators.
Man.
Oh, another miss.
Ouch.
Everybody missed.
It's good stuff, though, man.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on.
Look at old Nick Patrick.
3.
I was going 4. Nick Patrick.
5. 6.
Fuck, we got the best referee, the best wrestlers in the ring.
It's about 20 right now. Yeah.
I got you, Shannon. I got you. Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Boom.
What an idiot. You ever say I didn't take them off for you, you motherfucker.
You're a bumping machine, boy.
Oh. Not the big the decimal point. Is that Dewey Decimal?
A decimal point.
I got
that was there.
Dewey Decimal. I got beat with Dewey Decimal.
No.
Oh my God.
That's a huge hubcap. That's a huge hubcap.
Yes.
That's a good team. Like that's, you know, like that's where it's at, man. Whenever it comes to TV, like if you're flipping through the channels and run into that, it's like there's nothing that's gonna make you not stop on that channel.
Right.
No, not at all. Look at that.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, that's fucking funny.
Couple angles there.
Yeah. Fucking hilarious, man. I love you.
I love you too, dude. That's man, like it don't get no better than that. Like that's like you can't, you know what I mean? Like whenever it comes to TV and you go, man, like those guys can go. Like there wasn't nobody in that ring that you couldn't deny the fact that, like, man, those guys are good.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shannon Moore, thank you so much for coming on the show with me.
I appreciate you having me on, man. I'll come back on. We'll chat it up for about an hour.
Please. Please do.
Time.
Please do. Sounds amazing.
I want to appreciate Shannon Moore. Thank you, guys.
Hey, folks, to get your official Live and in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
Thank you all for sticking with us. We got the second watch along of the WCW with PG-13. And honestly, today we've got a cool guest with us, Big Vito LaGrassa, and they're going to watch the second match of our watch along, the PG-13 Mamalukes versus the Armstrongs. And so the link will be in our description of the episode. So you just click on that. Wolfie, take it over, okay?
And with that, I'll give you guys a second to locate that link to watch along. And everybody listening, Vito, Jimmy, and the fans out there will go in 3, 2, 1, play. And I got to mute mine. But all right, so here we go. Vito, me and you met in Memphis. You were Skulls on Crush. And now here we are in WCW together.
Hey, I would like to say hello to everybody and hope everybody's having a great night. This is the Watch Along with Wolfie D on his podcast show. And, for anybody who doesn't know, I came through the ranks as Skull Von Crush. I started off in WWF TVs, and I made my way from Santo Domingo to Memphis, to Puerto Rico. But anybody who had to make their way in the wrestling business, you had to go through Memphis.
Yeah,
so that's why I met Jamie and Wolfie. A great tag team.
The Harris brothers paying us off. Are they paying off the Armstrongs first? Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. I mean,
it was so fun when you came to Memphis. Those were the best days, man. I'll never forget Skull Von Crush. Never forget him.
Listen, that's when gimmicks were gimmicks. I didn't speak English, and everybody believed. And we had some of the best times. And you never know how you wind up in the business. And here I am, a world champion in WCW. And it was a great thing. You know what? And you guys always respected me. And then when I made it to the WCW, you guys came up and you shook my hand and said, man, you really worked hard and you earned this.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. That's always been me, man. I'm not going to down. Here's the little part now. They paid off the Armstrongs. Now they're paying off us. And then so the match story is you got the Armstrongs and PG-13 against the Mamalukes. That's what we're all watching.
Yeah, look, and you notice Jamie took the money and you never got any.
Ron and Don, I love them guys, man. What about you, Vito?
Hey, when I met Ron and Don, they were the scariest duo in wrestling.
Right?
Two big biker guys, long hair, and the tattoos.
2 Bruiser Brody.
Yeah. They were scary, bro. They were scary, especially me coming from New York. And if everybody doesn't know, You know, I was boys with the Spellbinder back in the day, and that's another story. But here's PG-13 coming in the ring.
Yeah.
Great tag team, great gimmick. You know, Brian Christopher stole your gimmick, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that true?
John Cena stole my, shit.
Yep. Look at this.
I was doing that, and you know what? Somebody sent me a message because it kind of went viral, and I said that about Cena stealing my gimmick. I mean, it's the truth. I was the first white boy rapper back in 1992, and then I recruited Jamie to be my partner. And then somebody said, what about PN News? No, PN News wasn't white. He didn't, he wore traditional wrestling gear. He had tights and boots, and he didn't rap. He said, yo, baby, yo. That was a chant. That wasn't a rap. So I don't, whatever. But anyway, here we go. Man, we're getting to it.
Now, when you guys were watching, we have a young Johnny the Bull in there, fresh out of the power plant, and he became a champion. And, Johnny was my responsibility, and I always took care of him. If you remember, Johnny, you would do what you could do best, but you talk about being a veteran and learning from Memphis, and that's how I learned a great deal. Yeah. Working with Jamie, Wolfie, the Rock and Roll Express, the Dream Machine, Boogie Woogie, the Moondogs, all the great legendary wrestlers of Memphis. And here we are in WCW, along with the Armstrongs.
Isn't that cool? We paid our dues, man. We rode up and down the road, and then, here we are at the dance. You know what I mean? This is funny because, so who's starting here? And I'm like, I think I'm starting. I don't know if we all talked about this or whatever. Okay, so I'm like, I'm getting out. Now we got Johnny and Stevie. Love Stevie. Love all the Armstrongs, man. What cool guys, right?
No, very cool guys who know the wrestling business.
This looks like a shoot right there. That looks like a shoot, like Stevie was pissed, right?
No, you know what? But Johnny was young, so when you have to take charge of a wrestler and being a veteran, you're not trying to hurt nobody, but you got to make things happen.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That looked like Stevie got hot and just belly to back him. But, I mean, I understand. I know Stevie. I know how he is. I know all of them. I love him to death. But this is actually a really good match. Look, boom. Stevie flips him over. Here I come again. Boom.
But one thing people don't realize is when you come through Memphis, you learn the Southern psychology, and that goes a long way in the wrestling business. And there I took a whack from you guys. Because why? Because I'm trying to save my partner. And a lot of guys today, they just stand on the ringside. They don't try to intervene.
Right. Your guy was in trouble. Look, Disco. Oh, Disco gets the hubcap.
I know everybody wants to see Disco get more of a hubcap. I mean, he's in a lot of hot water these days.
He stays that way.
All right, so we hear Johnny the Bull's getting his shirt taken off. There's Jamie jumping in, and like I said, guys, great psychology here. Everybody tagging up on the champs. Me trying to get in there to save my partner. If any young wrestlers are watching this is what you want to do. You want to intervene and don't stand there. Big suplex by Wolfie. Wolfie back then was very lean. If people don't remember, I mean, Wolfie, you had to be maybe 190 back then, correct?
I was right there. I was probably about 220 or something like that. It wasn't until I started being slashed when I got to 240, 50. I got up to 275 at one point.
No, I saw you. I see you. You had gotten big, but. During the PG-13 days, I mean, you were lean, you had a good body, you had a good look to you, and, you and Jamie just matched, really good, just like the Armstrong brothers, just natural look as a tag team.
In the ring, we were so good together, man. I could look at him, and he knew what I needed, and vice versa, and that doesn't happen all the time, man. That's just like a special thing, and we had it. The closest thing I ever got past Jamie was with Brian Lee and TNA when we did the New Church thing. Me and him kind of had that same thing, but I think me and Jamie had it just a little bit better. Even though
now, if you watch the Armstrongs tag me here, right? And it's
Oh, you try to cover your partner, yeah.
See, because now that's good psychology on my part because everybody thought, we got Vito in there. But me being a smooth-talking New Yorker, I said, okay, I'll pin my partner and win the match. Go home.
Right.
Yeah. Genius.
Ooh, this is a huge punch. Knocked me over the top. Reverse. What do we got there? Boom. Oh, Jamie didn't go down for him, and you hook him.
There it is.
I think that's it. That's got to be it, right?
We hope so. Here's probably, if
look
you
at
guys
that.
don't know,
Holy shit, but athleticism.
The best athletic big man. Johnny the Bull is ahead of his time. Power, body, everything. Look at this.
Damn, that was,
That's
dude, he got up there like it was just like the side of the, I don't know. That was awesome, man. I mean, the way his balance.
He had great hops. He had a great body. He was 21 years old. I say this today. If Johnny the Bull was wrestling today, he'd be world champion.
Yeah. Man, he was down. He was good. Look there, big hug. Y'all got the win.
But you know, guys, when you watch this match, you talk about 4 guys. You talk about the Armstrongs, and you talk about PG-13 and the Harris brothers, all from Memphis, Tennessee, along with myself. Some of the best psychology, and everybody took their time.
Yeah. We knew what to do, man. That's what they don't understand these days. It's a story in the ring as well as outside of the ring. And I feel a lot of the guys today don't understand that in-ring thing of it's still a story. Get your moves in, and your partner just showed it with he jumped up there and, balanced on the ropes like he did and then dropped a leg, and it meant something, You don't have to do 4,000 moves. It's that one move that everybody's going to remember.
Jimmy, what do you got for us? You got any good questions? Come on, Jimmy, give me some.
Yeah, man, I was going to say, speak on the Armstrongs, like those guys, what were they like working, especially when you got a chance to get in the ring with them,
Well, the Armstrongs are legendary from Memphis, and just, going from their dad, to all the brothers. They learned the business the right way, the correct way. They all learned psychology. Every single one of them was a quality wrestler. They might not, some didn't have the body, some didn't have the look, but they all worked for WCW, along with Bill Dundee. And, it was a Southern thing, you know what I mean? And once you go through Memphis and you learn, all the Southern boys always took care of themselves. A great, great addition to the wrestling business.
Absolutely. Yeah, the family, one of the best friends in my life that has done so much for me and just been a good guy, man. And we don't talk every day. I don't say it like that, but Road Dogg and all his brothers, man. Brad was good to me. Bob wrote an article. He used to write a sports article in the Pensacola newspaper, and he wrote an article about me one time. Had my picture, had everything. I've got it somewhere in some of my storage stuff, but like that meant so much to me. I cut it out of the paper. I framed it. I mean, he wrote this huge article on me as Slash saying, look out for this guy and blah, blah, blah. And coming from him, that just meant so much to me, man. It was so awesome. And then, like I said, me and Brian were always good friends. And then, I've worked everyone. I worked Brad in Louisville one night. And, I only worked him once, but I got to work Brad. I've worked Scotty. I've worked Stevie. And Road Dogg numerous times, man. And I've even worked with Bullet. And that shit was just cool, man. That's the coolest wrestling family I've ever known in my experience.
No, definitely. And, you said something there. You have BJ James, probably one of the greatest guys. You had probably the most charisma out of all the Armstrong brothers. And you could tell on his work. You could tell on his timing. And a lot of guys don't mention the word timing in these days,
Yeah.
Less is more, grab a hold. And who's the guy who used to say grab a hold all the time?
Grab a hold, Buddy Wayne.
Buddy Wayne, right? Grab a hold, wool tights, Buddy Wayne, right? And we all saw as young guys, you're full of shit.
Vito, I need you to abandon ship right now. Don't say grab a hold. We're not in New York. We are talking about Memphis. It's grab a hold.
Grab a hold.
There's a T at the end.
That's right. And for those who don't know, now Wolfie, you can get on this, right? When you talk about eating in Memphis, guys, right? The only place in the world that has a buffet at KFC is Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes. Love it. I love it.
Louisville, if you remember in Louisville, between Louisville and Evansville nights, there was that KFC buffet in Louisville right there where we used to stay.
Yep, that's right. And
Yep.
then another thing that people don't realize is that we all had girlfriends at the strip club, right? So everybody who had a girl at the strip club, I probably had the most famous one. Couldn't speak a lick of English, but I had the Marilyn Monroe lookalike.
That's awesome. Yeah.
They called me Mr. President all night. I'm telling you, it was great.
I love it. So I know our time is short on this episode right now, this part of the episode. But Vito, promise, man, you'll come back and do a full Big Vito episode with.
I promise. Anytime you guys give me a call, and I'd be more than happy to be a guest or do what I got to do.
Yeah, man. Awesome,
Thank you so
Vito.
much.
Thank you, man. Skull Von Crush. I don't care what anybody else wants to call you. You're Skull Von Crush to me. That's when I met you, and you know how it is like that. I'll always be Wolfie D. You'll never call me Slash, and I'll never call you Vito. I will call you Skull Von Crush. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. All right, guys. You have a good night.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D. Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor. Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
And here we are with the third watch along. This is PG-13 and the Frog versus the Young Dragons. Now, this is on April 22nd of 2000. It is on YouTube under PG-13 and the Frog versus Young Dragons. This is technically your last match with WCW.
Man, hey, when I remember this match, it's one of my favorite matches, man. I can't wait to, to walk the people through it.
Yeah, and it's a great match, man. And honestly, people, search this out. I will have the link in the description on our podcast. The description will have all the links for all of the watch-along. So this is the third one, PG-13 and the Frog versus the Young Dragons. And Wolfie, count us down from 3.
I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody press. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. And we're here at the WCW Worldwide.
Camp Angle is to the stage. Here we come. Look at Jamie's hat. Holy shit. And there comes Frog, man. I'm telling you. He's the mystery guy, man. I've been looking for this dude forever. He brought us in to where he lives at one point.
Yeah.
Kill Devil Hill, South Carolina or North Carolina. I can't remember which one that is.
North Carolina. Yeah, that's like the beach or something. Yeah.
So here I come marching to the ring. That red hair dye, I swear to God, made my hair fall out. That's why I had to turn it into Slash, but whatever.
Oh, that's a good gimmick builder.
Nice.
Look at Frog,
nice,
man. He's buying into the gimmick, isn't he? He's like, I'm PG-13, baby. Yeah.
Great worker, man. He's a great worker. I loved having him with us, man. I did. So here comes the Young Dragon.
Yeah. Jamie Noble.
You know the combo is.
Yeah, Kaz Hayashi, and then you've got Jimmy Wang Yang, and then you've got the American Jamie Noble.
Nice shot.
Right.
All right. These guys.
These guys talented. It's like a
there's a lot of talent in that ring, man. I'm telling you. I can't remember the referee's name, man, but he was cool as shit, man.
Was that Slick? Something Slick?
Remember, the jump from me. Unbelievable.
Yeah. The only non-Asian, maybe the Caucasian, Jamie Noble.
That had the Adam mask on. Look at me.
Yeah.
Look, I'm the biggest guy in the ring. That's the funniest thing.
That's true, man. Yeah.
And this, he kept trying to describe it. I'm like, all right, so you're going to hook arms what? All right, we'll try it. And we never, honestly, man, we never did that shit beforehand or whatever. I honestly pride myself on that shit. Just tell me what you want to do and I can do it. I love this. Here's a fuck up. Here it comes. I don't know who fucked up right there. I don't know who it was. I don't know, probably Jamie. But then he makes it up with his Karate Kid bullshit.
Yeah.
Gotta love this. You gotta love this.
Wow. Did Jamie, did he ever, he probably didn't care. I was about to say, did he ever think about doing cruiserweight stuff? Or?
No, he didn't care. That shit just got over, man.
Yeah.
Couple of chops there. I always liked old Frog there. Boom.
Dude, he's doing the gimmick, man. He's doing the gimmick.
And then here he comes for another one. Jimmy does. I love this move. I really do.
That's amazing. It's an amazing move.
Missed it. And then the sit out buster. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
And there you are, celebrating touchdown type.
Yeah. And here we go into this. We're doing lucha now. There's no tag.
Yeah.
Nobody gets Frankensteiner on the floor over the top. Boom. Look good as shit. This right here, I'll never forget. I came back from this match. Brian Knobs told me my punches look like shit. Right there, I was just hitting him on the back and waiting for the deal. And Brian Knobs was like, "Oh, your punches look horrible." But then we'll get to the rest of the people that thought this was good at the end.
Yeah.
Really don't know what he thinks. Boom. That looked good.
It did, man. It did.
All right, stop him. Here goes. I used to love to do this. The guy's smaller than me. Wish I could get a lot of. Boom. 360 power bomb. Double drop. Here comes Jamie with the hubcap.
Oh, yeah. Boom.
I cover. This should be it. 1, 2. Oh, no. Not another false finish. But here we go. This is the coolest shit right here. Back him up.
Yeah.
You throw him in. Backdrops. Nope. Sunset flips. But Frog's got the hands. Surely to God they're not going down. But, oh, my God, yes, they are. 1, 2, 3. You should have heard that.
Oh, man.
Man, it was awesome. What a pop from the crowd. I mean, with a opening, kind of no build-up match, no heat, no nothing right there. That was awesome. And
yeah, dude.
When we came back from the ring, we walked to the curtain. Arn was standing up. DDP was standing up. The whole crew was standing up, clapping when we came back.
Yeah.
And it brings chills to me right now just to remember that, man. That was awesome. And that was something, that was a combination of, and I'm I always say I came up with everything. I invented the lockup, by God. But it was a combination of me, Jamie, and the Junk Dragons coming up with that finish, which I just think that was so creative, so cool. Never seen it before. Probably not been done since. Don't know. Maybe it has. I don't know. But that was cool as shit. And like I said, one of my favorite moments in wrestling was walking back from the curtain after that match and seeing those people of that stature standing up and clapping for me. It made it for me. That was awesome.
And dude, okay, so I got to ask you this, man. So you guys come off that match where honestly, you guys look like the kings that you guys were. I mean, what happened at that point, man? What exactly? What was the next step that led to?
I really don't know. I really don't know, man. Yeah. It's the wrestling business, man. It's the entertainment business. Right place at the right time. Elvis Presley wouldn't have been Elvis Presley if what's the guy that played the piano with his feet and shit?
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That was supposed to be him. But then, I mean, it's the entertainment business. It always has been. And they've always told me when I got in business, you're not going to get a spot until one of your friends is in the office. And that was back in the way day. So that interpretation means something different now. But if somebody don't like you or somebody does, I mean, that it don't matter how good you are, man. It really doesn't. So that's what I think about that.
So were you told, hey, we'll call you at the end of this? Or was it like, hey, there's no more bookings right now. We don't have anything for you?
It was just like, because we didn't have a contract then. We were just paid nightly.
Right.
Putting them all these good matches and putting people in. I mean, we can look at a lot of stuff, man, that we did, and people can say whatever. I really don't care. But they put us in that position to either help someone get over or, hey, these guys are good enough, man, we can put them wherever to do whatever. And so, I mean, that's, I think it was just a deal of, you know, hey, they're not what we want right now or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know what people's thinking is, because I'm at that point, I mean, I was just a wrestler. And I wasn't in the office. I didn't talk with people close to the narratives or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like I was just there to do whatever you asked me to do, and I'll do it to the best of my ability, you know?
Yeah. And you did. So, you know, in hindsight now, that was the last official match with the WCW. Also, really, you know, WCW was at their end of their road pretty much with less than a year to go on their whole deal before McMahon buys them. But the main thing here was really this was like the end of the road for PG-13 in a big capacity. I know you guys did some independence after this, but as far as this goes, the limelight, as they say, really PG-13 kind of went away as well. What was the state of PG-13 at this time?
Man, I mean, you're completely right, man. And honestly, I've never really looked at it that way. And, oh, wow, WCW was the fucking end of us. But it was. And so that's just where it went. I mean, I think Jamie had to do some time over child support. It was like over an hour or an hour. He did an hour for child support. No, it was like a year or better, something like that. And so, you know, I wasn't ready to give up yet. And this came to the point where I developed into Slash because my partner was gone. And what are we going to do now? And, you know, a whole lot of things. I told you the whole growing out of the gimmick and the kid coming to the gimmick table and saying, what is that? And I got to thinking, you know, these days they don't know what the fucking hubcap is. There's rims. A lot of different things at that certain time, and that's just the way it happened. But you're right, man. That was WCW was the end of PG-13, basically, except for local bullshit. Right.
Because you did go on to Saw and you did some things, but at the same time, you know, I know you even did a rehash at Crossfire in 2015 against Brian Christopher. I mean, but the main thing is this was kind of it for you guys. Now, the beauty of this is this was just the start for you in a sense, because you then went on to Slash, which was arguably your coming out party as a guy that can carry his own weight. Now, you did go on to be in tag teams, but at the same time, man, you showed that you were the guy that could carry the ball. And, I mean, really, you've only been in the business for 10 years, but you're still really young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's cool. Everybody go back, listen to the Slash and TNA episode. I think we covered a lot about Slash there. The numbers doing awesome on that. Thank you guys for listening. But as far as that goes, you know, as far as this goes, before we go into current affairs, do you want to put a bow on your stay in WCW, especially with PG-13?
I mean, we did what we were asked to do. You know, it was thanks, Jeff, for doing that for us, and you know, whatever. I mean, sometimes it just don't all work out, man. I guess there's a plan for everybody. You know what I mean? So it was cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was cool, and I'm glad we got to cover this because to me, WCW was my favorite show growing up, as it was with you, other than Memphis. You know, so it was really cool to see people that you knew and really enjoyed to watch on there. And even though you could kind of tell that WCW wasn't WCW anymore, it had to be cool to be there.
And one day we'll talk about the Arn Anderson story. I don't know if we talked about that yet, but me and Arn, and we'll talk about that.
Sounds beautiful. I'm going to hold you to that. All right. Well, next up, we welcome Dan Colley, my co-host of the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, for a special guest segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right, we're back with the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. And today I welcome a friend of mine. He is a colleague. He is a peer. He is a great dude. He is the Dan Colley. Dan, how are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, man, I don't know if I can live up to any of that. I can try, but I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing? What's going on?
Man, I just wanted to invite you onto this so we can promote our upcoming podcast that we're going to have going on, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. But before we start that, I want to talk about you, man. I want to get into Dan's mind just a bit. Now, obviously, I met you through my cousin, Charlie Chase. Charlie is your co-host on Give Me Back My Action Movies. But before we even get into that, I want to talk to you. Your start, man. You've got a background in radio. Tell us about you, man. Tell us about Dan.
Well, I grew up in northern Kentucky area, just outside of Cincinnati, across the river, basically. And specifically when it comes to like my love of pro wrestling, I'll hit that up real quick. My grandfather was a huge pro wrestling fan, and he was when I was younger. I mean, obviously we had WWF at the time and WCW and NWA, and I remember watching old classic NWA with my grandfather. Yes. And then eventually it turned into the WCW Saturday nights and so on and so forth. And
right.
He was always a lot more of a WCW NWA fan than he was WWF at the time. I don't think he liked the more down to earth style of wrestling where, right. You know, he didn't give a crap about a garbage man fighting a hockey player. He was more interested in people like Dusty and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and those guys. I remember some of his favorites were Dusty, obviously. Loved Dusty. He liked some of the old Piper stuff. You know, right. He dug that. You know, I think he was a bigger fan of the heels, though, to be honest with you, than he was some of the faces. He always loved Flair. He loved Arn Anderson. And strangely enough, one of his favorites, though, he liked the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, everybody, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think my 55-year-old grandfather at the time would be into the Legion of Doom, but he dug them. So, you know, hey, it's cool.
Yeah. Well, the Road Warriors were the more WWF of the NWA, if that makes any sense.
Sure. A little more flamboyant, face paint and chain and the whole entrance and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Right. And they, you know, and then the WWF gets them and they totally screw them up. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So beyond that, so lived in Cincinnati for a while, got married once. That didn't work out too great in the long term. Well, I've got a daughter out of the deal, and that turned out awesome. But
sure.
And then I moved to the Columbus, Ohio area, met my current wife. We have 2 kids now. And yeah, like you said, I actually went to school for radio broadcasting and had a cup of coffee in the industry when it comes to here in town. I worked did sports for a station. I did production for a station. And then down in Virginia, when I was there for a little while, I did sports play-by-play, and I did some air shifts for a station down there as well. So, you know, then real life came a knocking, and I had to kind of back up and punt, and we ended up having the 2 boys and working a 9 to 5. But yeah, I enjoy doing broadcasting quite a bit. I think it's a blast. So, hey man, when it comes to podcasting, you don't have anyone telling you no or anyone telling you can't do it. You just do it and put it out there, and that's really what's awesome about it. I think it's the indies of broadcasting.
It totally is. It's beautiful. It's probably kind of like similar to the old pirate radio days.
Yeah, sure.
And to me, you know, my dad used to tell me about, it was AM radio or AM based radio that was like AOR, so album oriented. They would play whatever they wanted. And that to me seems like what podcasts. Now, if you have one listener or you have 500 listeners, you can have a podcast. And that's the cool part about it, you know? And
yeah, absolutely.
So leaning into the podcast, you not only have Give Me Back My Action, which we're going to touch on that just in a second. You also have the Noka News Network podcast. Tell the folks about that a little bit.
Yeah. So on a separate feed, kind of a separate deal going on is myself and a buddy of mine named Ricky French. I actually met him in broadcasting school. So we went through school together. We both worked at a few different stations. And as a matter of fact, as recording this, he just got rehired by iHeartRadio to start writing news and doing some air work, fill-ins and stuff like that for now. So, but we do a podcast weekly. Pretty much weekly. Occasionally something will come up. We miss a week, but we do a podcast called Noka News Network. It's the NOKA, stands for News No One Cares About. And it's an hour or so comedic look at idiot news from around the world. If anyone has not been paying attention, the world we live in is buck wild, and we talk about that every week. It is a not safe for work type of podcast.
Right.
There's a lot of colorful language on it that you won't hear on the Action Pod or the other Give Me Back network that we also do. But that's a fun one. Like I said, it's weekly. It's a little different. I get to be a little more outlandish on that one.
Yeah. Well, weekly, as I know, with the Live and in Color podcast, it's a tricky mister. I tell you that, because
it is tough sometimes. Yeah.
Weekly, you're scrambling. I'm like, Wolfie, it's Sunday. They go out on Monday. What are we doing, buddy?
Well, yeah, we try to do all of our stories we try to do from at least the last week. So every Saturday we get together, go through stories, do a lineup, record. Ricky edits on usually Sunday or Monday. And then puts them out sometime Tuesday, usually in the morning, sometimes a little bit later in the afternoon. But so you know, you come across it's almost like how I assume kind of like Saturday Night Live is. You know, every week new material, new bits, go, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, sounds like kind of almost like a weekend update, except maybe a little more under the radar news based type stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I'm lame, but I've got to check it out. I will definitely do that, Dan. So the next question I have basically is essentially about the Give Me Back My Action. Now, from what I understand, in the past, talking to my cousin Charlie, this all started from a Facebook group.
Yeah, so Charlie and I have known each other for years now, 13, 14, 15 years, whatever it is. And we work together. We've known each other for a long time. And it's always, we'd call each other and just kind of BS about, movies or whatever. So one day I've been talking to him about wanting to do a podcast, and he started the Action, Give Me Back My Action Facebook group. And one day we were just like, why don't we just do a podcast about that? About action movies and some of the ones we knew as kids and some of the newer ones that come out to kind of feel that way. And he was like, yeah, all right, we'll give it a shot. And he went from someone with no broadcasting experience to a guy now that does 2 podcasts, one each week, basically, action. And then he also does a horror variant of that. They're both on the same feed. And through that, now he's guested on many others. He's written a couple columns. He does the editing on the show. He does the majority of this kind of organization and everything with the network that we've kind of established through that as well. And, he's become kind of a beast when it comes. I think I'm Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein. I made a monster because now he's just all over it. But that show is a blast. Every other week we come out with a show about action movies and things that like, we've hit stuff like Beverly Hills Cop. We've hit things like Delta Force. Running Man, but we like to hit some of the more obscure ones as well. So if you're into that, definitely check it out. And then on the other weeks, you have him and our buddy Nate doing horror movies. So check that. If you subscribe to one feed, you get them both.
Right. It's a 2-for deal. It's basically like the buy one Whopper, get one Whopper deal free.
Exactly, yes. But Charlie doesn't like vegetables, so we don't put those on the sandwich.
Right, exactly. And they're both excellent shows. I was recently on The Condemned. That was a lot of fun, being as I, kind of, along with you, brought in the wrestling recognition, and we combined that with a great movie, Stone Cold, and an action movie, too. So a lot of fun. Definitely check out Give Me Back My Action Movies. I think everybody would enjoy, even if you don't like horror movies, you would enjoy the horror movie. It's not like they're jumping out of the corner to scare you or anything. They're just talking about movies.
Yeah, for sure. And they just did an episode with a couple of indie filmmakers about a movie that they just done and releasing, and that was an excellent episode. So if you want to start on the Witch House episode and work your way around it, you can. Like you said, even if you're not into horror movies per se, but you're into filmmaking or art or any kind of like media like that, check out that episode at least, and then check out the rest of them.
Oh, yeah. And start with The Condemned if you don't care about chronological order. That's the one you need to start with, because it obviously has me on it.
that one really devolved into a mess.
It was.
But when I say that, I mean it was a good mess. It was fun. It really I think you and I really took over the podcast and made it more of a wrestling podcast than we did an action movie podcast. But what are you going to do when you have two, old school wrestling marks on the show,
I am saying, man, it's what it's going to be. So, speaking of that, going back to Charlie just for a second, Charlie, he doesn't do things half-ass. He is a definite whole-ass person,
Yes.
He does not go into things lightly. If he's going to commit to it, he commits to it 100%. So, and I've known that about him all his life. We were like brothers growing up. We're similar age group, my brother, him, and I. And so we've always had the same G.I. Joes, the same He-Man, the same, he never got into wrestling as a kid because the side of the family didn't really care about wrestling that he was on. The love of wrestling came from my mom's side of the family. So, but Charlie would always involve himself with us, even if we were playing with wrestling figures, But anyway, long story short, Charlie and I go way back. And when he moved to Columbus, I'd lived in Nashville and Blacksburg, so we were kind of separate from each other. But again, brothers always stick around,
So yeah. I have a cousin that's in the same exact boat. He was in San Francisco for over 10 years. Now he's in Minnesota, but it doesn't matter. As soon as I see him, it's right back to being idiot kids again.
Right. Where did we dog ear the book at here? And let's open that back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, part of the reason I brought you on here is to help me out with a segment. But right now, I do want to do a little self-promotion. And let's talk a little bit about Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. Now, this is not only an offshoot of the Give Me Back My Podcast network. This is also going to be a brother podcast to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. What we're doing is we're taking all these ideas of all these people and we're mixing them all together, and we're seeing how much we can do and entertain people that want to be entertained. So the idea that I have with Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling is essentially reconnect folks with the love that they had if you grew up in the time frame that we did. Now, you don't have to have grown up in that time frame. It just helps.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, like I said, I grew up watching, of course, I know the WWF products from the days, and I know the Attitude Era stuff, but, I was always a huge fan of the WCW, NWA stuff. And, I think a lot of people, as you get older, you fall out of love with watching professional wrestling. And some of that is the product, and some of that is just maybe you getting older and stepping away from it, being more involved in either sports or girls or music or something. Yeah, exactly. But and then you watch a lot of the current product. And when I say current, I mean the last 3 to 5 years, I guess. And, say what you will or like what you will or what have you. It is a lot, especially the WWF or WWE product, is very, very different than what we grew up with. Even the old WWF stuff is really different than the current, because the current is a lot more of a, and this will sound really bad or dumb or whatever, but a very staged entertainment product. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't have the spontaneity. It doesn't have the oh crap moments that we grew up with. And part of that's the internet, and part of that's the dirt sheets and everything else too. But, the idea behind Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling was, like you said, to kind of revitalize and re-energize the love of watching professional wrestling.
Right.
Nothing against sports entertainment, but I like professional wrestling. And I'll be honest with you, right now, I don't watch a lot of WWE product. I watch AEW product because I think there's a lot more professional wrestling. I think there's a lot more old school storytelling in that, particular brand, especially with, their ownership, with Tony Khan being a big fan of the old school stuff, Cody being in there with the old school stuff, but then you still got spectacular spot wrestling from the indies, with people like the Bucks and Omega and stuff too. So I just think that it's a great mixing pot, basically, of old and new. And hopefully with our show, we're going to be able to bridge that gap a little bit while still highlighting like the Trailblazers and maybe hopefully getting those feels that we had as kids, when we would make the cardboard belts and wrestle in the backyard. I'm hoping for, that's really what it's going to be.
No, it is. And that's the beauty of it. Hopefully, if it's going to teach a new kid about some old stuff, that's awesome. Because we will be doing watch-alongs. We'll be reviewing old pay-per-views, old wrestling movies. It's just going to be an open-ended deal, but it will be based around a certain era. Now, we'll do parts of the show that actually showcase new stuff. Like, hey, did you see Tully and Arn almost go at it on AEW? That was awesome.
Right.
Those kinds of things will happen. We're going to have so many cool things. Now, keep in mind, you can be a sports entertainment fan, but we're going to show you how pro wrestling is better, is kind of what I think,
Well, yeah, it's almost not even better. Just we're going to show you that even like the current crop of people, they still go back and watch this old stuff. They still go back and watch old promos. I mean, Dusty taught the promo class for the longest time, and those are the guys and girls that can still, work the stick. You've got people now, I mean, no slight against anyone that's working for any product necessarily, because I've never been in the ring. I've never bumped. I can't say, talk for that. But at the same time, if you look at someone who came primarily straight through developmental system all the way up, the way that they teach it compared to the way that someone that went through indies and was taught by old school and broke into the business that way and stuff, there's a completely different style and I think appreciation for it. So that's why even the new people, a lot of the new people watch the old stuff even. So totally. I think you can absolutely, regardless of what kind of fan you are, I think you can glean a lot of entertainment and understanding by watching the Trailblazers and their predecessors.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that. The cool thing is we're going to have guests with independent wrestlers currently on the independent scene. Already got Jeremiah Plunkett. He's actually currently working an angle that is including him in the NWA Junior Heavyweight title picture. So, I'm excited to include him. The sky's the limit is what I'm trying to say, basically.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm excited about teaching people, hey, we're all together. Let's enjoy this together, Yeah.
Just like, hey, man, maybe you haven't seen this, or hey, you thought that was a cool spot. Well, look how it was done by, Ole Anderson in 1982, because most things that you see has been done before, it's just a different way of doing it. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah. And the beauty of it is we can talk about Rock and Roll Express matches from the past and the current.
Yeah, I know. Those guys just don't stop. I know. It's unreal.
Yeah, they're never going anywhere. It's true. So that's cool. Anyway, look for it. Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. It's going to be very soon. We haven't picked a start date yet, but we're working on all that. We're going to.
We were really trying to get it out before the end of the year, but with real life being in the way of different things, it got pushed back some. But also, I don't want to put out some standard product. Right. I want to hit the ground running pretty good. So, of course, that's going to be something we're going to work together to get right before we bring it out.
Exactly. And again, Give Me Back My Action Movies. Noka, those aren't going anywhere. Live and in Color with Wolfie D is not going anywhere. This is just an addition to the cake. It's an extra side that is served with your meal, basically.
Right. Yes. You're going to have those. You're still going to have Wolfie, please don't come bum rush my mother. I think it's just like you said, it's going to be another outlet, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a blast.
Oh, we're going to have a real blast. So anyway, Dan, basically that leads up to my last question here is, DJ, hit the music.
It's a current affair. It's a current affair. Love it in color. It's a current affair. Love it in color.
All right, we're back with Dan Colley, co-host of Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And today we are having current affairs. Dan, are you ready for the current affairs?
Oh, okay. I'm nervous, but I've been studying. Okay, hit me with it.
All right, beautiful. So I've got a few questions here. They may not take much thought at all. They may take a lot of thought, but feel free. So my first one is, right now, the biggest news in wrestling is currently Jeff Hardy's current release from the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
He's 47 years old. Apparently, he was having a bit of a relapse with his substance abuse issues. Some say he was only drinking. Others say it was a ruse. He just did it to get out of his contract. What are your current thoughts on the Jeff Hardy situation? Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah. So, okay, first of all, I don't necessarily think it was a ruse. I mean, I know that, from listening to a lot of people, especially a lot of people who've made the jump to AEW based on their own choices, I know a lot of them seem to say that it's a lot better there. It's a lot different. They enjoy it, their time there more. But at the same time, I don't think Jeff Hardy is the kind of dude that would fake this situation just to get out of his deal. I don't think that. I don't think he also, at the same time, I don't think he would care that much about the money. I don't think he does it for the money. I mean, don't get me wrong. He likes getting the paycheck, but I don't think it's that.
Right.
I would say that, yeah, he's probably having an issue with abuse issues again. He has forever, essentially. I remember going to a Brian Pillman memorial show in Cincy years and years ago where Matt and Amy Dumas, Lita, showed up, but Jeff missed a plane because he was hungover or passed out or something. So, I know that issue has happened for a long time. So, I hope he's good and gets through it.
My next question with current affairs is currently the status of Kevin Owens and the possibility of him leaving the WWE soon. Johnny Gargano recently left. Kyle O'Reilly either is leaving or has recently left. Tommaso Ciampa may be leaving soon. Now, again, these guys are all NXT, but to me, their patron saint would, in my opinion, be Kevin Owens. I really feel like the WWE would be losing someone serious here if they lost Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I got to be honest with you when I tell you I'm kind of surprised with the success that Owens has had in WWE. He doesn't have the typical WWE build, and his promo work is phenomenal. And always has been. And so I'm a big fan of that. But, some of the style of what he does, his moveset, for example, I mean, he doesn't package power drive anybody because WWE doesn't allow power drivers. He's got some top rope stuff that he doesn't really do because they don't want the big guy to fly like that. And it's like, it's stupid. Let him do what he's got to do. Now, do I think the fight Owens fight and the fight Steen fight, crossover worked? Yeah, I think it did. And I think KO was allowed to basically be Kevin Steen in WWE, which is why I think it worked. For example, I think, obviously I'd love to see him come over to AEW, where a lot of the indie guys that he has worked for years and years and years to show up, to work over there. But at the same time, I kind of either don't want him there unless he's there with Claudio, aka Cesaro, or if he's there with, maybe El Generico showing up. But the thing with like Generico is, would that character work on a weekly program?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, as much as I would love to say, yeah.
Exactly. But Owens, I love Kevin Steen. I'm a big fan of his, and ROH. Would love to see him be featured at AEW, something like that. But
right.
My problem, though, I think, and kind of the problem that you touched on with Gargano and O'Reilly and them is, I think AEW's roster is starting to get a little out of control.
A little bloated.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, would I love to see him over there? Yeah, but I'd love to see people like Gargano versus MJF, or would I like to see O'Reilly get back with Fish and them? Yeah, stuff like that. Awesome. But again, I mean, they got a ton of people already.
Yeah, they do. Now, this is not a topic I want to bring up at the moment, but there are heavy rumors I'm hearing of a possible Jeff Jarrett promotion starting up with Conrad Thompson as the backer. Now, again, who knows? Those guys could totally do it. But again,
how many times is Jarrett going to bring a promotion together?
As many times as he can, as many times as someone will give him money to do it, you know?
Exactly. And I could see Conrad backing something like that. He's wanted to for a long time. And of course he's, obviously he's got connections in the world, but I think at best it would be tier 3.
Right. Right.
With ROH Final Battle just happening and the apparent shutdown of ROH, would it step up? Would it become something like, PWG turned out to be, things like that. But the problem I see with it is the fact that the only reason that people know, the name Shikara or PWG or even ROH is it was almost a completely different entity than what we're used to. And I don't know if Jarrett has the mentality to do that. I think if he did it, you'd almost have to give someone else the book. And I don't think Jarrett's going to do that.
Yeah, and I've even heard Eric Bischoff taking the book, so it wouldn't be that. Well, we'll leave that one alone for another time. But hey, this one is dedicated to your other podcast and the news no one cares about. And this one is speaking of news no one cares about. Nia Jax says she is done with wrestling. We'll go with that one as the no one cares about it.
Sounds good. Maybe her cause can get her into acting like he did wrestling. I don't know. All I can say is my hole.
Right.
If anyone doesn't get that reference, look it up. It's wild. Exactly. It's out there. But yeah.
All right. Well, that one is good there. So my last question, and again, Dan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bub.
Yeah. We can talk about your olden days of pro wrestling Mount Rushmore, but right now I want your current Mount Rushmore.
Current Mount Rushmore. Randy Orton, I believe, is one of the best that's ever done it.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of currently named Malachi Black.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy End. I'm really a big fan of his.
Yeah.
Currently, I was really high on Penta and Phoenix. I think lately, I don't know what it is, but I think they've kind of fallen off a little bit. Let me think for a minute. Honestly, if I had to put a tag team on there, I'd say Santana Ortiz. Love those guys.
Yeah, those are
real big fan of those guys. And then, of course, people like, again, Steen. Loved Steen. And I will always and forever be a CM Punk mark.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Speaking of Phoenix, he doesn't do it a lot, but randomly, when he is walking down the aisle, he will do this like drunk stagger thing and then catch himself. I love that. I've been a mark for him ever since I saw him do that the first time. And I was like, holy crap, this dude is so in control of his own body. Not to say Penta is not as well, because he totally is. And those guys are on a different level when it comes to pro wrestling, man. But
yeah, when they're on, they are on.
Yeah, and when they have opponents that can work with them, they are on as well. I've enjoyed this FTR feud because I just love the idea of FTR wrestling anybody, Yeah,
so, I tell you who I'm really looking forward to and hoping against hope is that you get the Briscoes over in AEW to go against some of those groups over there.
Dude, I love it. I would love for a time frame to happen maybe a multiverse crossover to where the PG-13 of, say 96 or 7 could match up with the, say 2010 Briscoes. Give them the microphone and let them fill you a house, man. That's all.
Yeah, if we're fantasy booking, I want that, and I want current Phoenix versus 2008, 9, 10 era Delirious.
Oh, yeah, dude. Totally. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we're going to do an entire episode on fantasy booking coming up soon on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And honestly, I just can't wait to get that rolling. So once we get that rolling, all things are going forward as they should be. Life has gotten in the way, but everything is going in the right direction right now. So Dan, once again, man, thank you so much for being on the show. Really helped me out, and also, gave an opportunity to promote our upcoming podcast. So leave us with something, man. Talk about something on the way out.
Well, let's see. Please, if you have not checked out the Give Me Back My Podcast Network Holiday Spectacular, please check that out. It was a lot of fun. A lot of hard work went into that.
It was a blast.
A lot of fun with that. And you can always find us at the Give Me Back My Action Movie Facebook group, or you can get a hold of Jimmy here, and he can get a hold of me, or whatever you need. But yeah, I just check that out. Had a blast doing it. I hope everyone's New Year is fantastic. I hope everyone's holiday season was great.
Thanks, Dan. And now a word from our sponsor.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Join me, Gene Jackson, for the Jackson Interaction Podcast, where I'll be doing one-on-one interviews with people from the world of professional wrestling, as well as stand-up comedy. You can get them anywhere podcasts are available in both video and audio form, but you can find them all at genejacksonpod.com.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Live Wolfie D. And then on YouTube at Live and in Color with Wolfie D Podcast. Our website is anchor.fm/WolfieD. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. Also, do you have a product or business you'd like Wolfie D to talk about? Let us know about it by leaving a recorded message over at anchor.fm/WolfieD/message. Leave your name and contact info and we'll get back to you. Once again, that's anchor.fm/WolfieD/message. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening. And we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for you, don't. He got a cap for you, don't. I got a cap for you, don't. He got a cap for you, don't. He got a cap for you, don't. And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color, bum rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was N-O-D, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are, without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip-hop. Been doing it like this since 92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. All the time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. When I finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. You got a cap for your dome. You got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.